this is something I've been kind of wondering for the past year or so, because Slaughter To Prevail signed to Sumerian Records, I think maybe like 4 years ago. Not the album that they just put out, but the one before that was like definitely a Sumerian release. They had a lot of press coming in from the Sumerian accounts. I remember seeing the Satan's Gym Jams kind of sponsored post everywhere on my social media, and that was all kind of sponsored through Sumerian Records. They were pushing that album super hard, and when it came to this new record, here's what I found weird. Everything was hosted on like Sumerian Records YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure, as well, for that record before. But for this one, everything was on Alex Terrible's channel. Most of the stuff didn't really even have the Sumerian Records branding to it. Like the logo wasn't there. I remember a few months back actually having to really dig through their posts and was wondering if their Sumerian Records deal was maybe just a single album deal, because I couldn't find anything that said Sumerian Records on it, on their posts, on their images, on their branding. I didn't really know what to make of it. Aside from, I thought that Sumerian were maybe just super lax with their rules with Slaughter To Prevail, and obviously Alex Terrible's YouTube channel has something like, let's go check it out actually, I'm not sure what the exact number is, but it's a lot. Alex Terrible, so 821,000 subscribers, and obviously you go to his channel and you know these are really high views for stuff that they've put out, Slaughter To Prevail related. If you go to their most popular, Demolisher has 12 million views, and this is on their channel. Baba Yaga 5.7 million. Hell was pre-Sumerian, so that makes sense. All that to say, so I'm seeing here though, I guess, so Baba Yaga was there, Demolisher was there, I guess Agony was on Sumerian's thing. Okay, so on the Sumerian Records thing, again, this was put out as a single, just like Demolisher was 2 years ago, and the album came out, it came out this year, so this is way before they even announced the album, so that didn't really ring a bell for me. But anyways, yeah, so it just made me thinking what was going on. And then if we go to this post now, Slaughter To Prevail, all of this to say, Slaughter To Prevail reportedly considering legal action against Sumerian Records over alleged contract dispute. And at first I was like, okay, well maybe Sumerian Records isn't pushing Slaughter To Prevail as much as they'd want to, so now they're pissed. Obviously, there is a disconnect between how Sumerian were pushing that first album with them, the debut Sumerian record, versus this one here, which in its own right is obviously like has done so much more than that first Sumerian record. I mean, this latest album was the biggest thing. Like, if how do I put this? If Lorna Shore didn't come out with the breakdown that blew up on the internet, I think that the Slaughter To Prevail's album would by far be the most hyped thing of the year in terms of deathcore. Let's get into this, because this is actually pretty interesting to see what the actual reason here for considering legal action against Sumerian Records. This is super weird, by the way. Like, this almost comes down to a threat, right? Publicly stating that they're considering legal action against Sumerian Records. It's not like, hey, we're in the process of, so now we're just gonna talk about it. This is just like, we might not, but we might sue Sumerian Records. Let's read this. Lamgo reported the relations between Russian deathcore outfit Slaughter To Prevail and their American record label Sumerian Records appears to have suffered greatly in recent years. In the below interview with Ears on Fire, the band's frequently masked vocalist Alex Terrible looks to have been quoted as saying that a drastic legal intervention will likely be necessary to resolve their current contractual dispute. So this is obviously a translated statement, so take that with a grain of salt. But I was absolutely happy. I guess it was around 2015, and back then we were just starting out. So man, I was in a fool's paradise. We're gonna sign with Sumerian and everything will be hunky-dory. But come on, you gotta be fucking smart and legally competent to be able to sign the right contracts. We had no legal advisors. We had no one. So this really sucks for them because, I mean, I can't imagine a world where you're not getting stuff looked over. I can imagine a world where you get an offer from someone like Sumerian and maybe it's the only offer you've got, so you're not really considering what the other options could be or what waiting out could mean for in terms of leverage for then signing with a label, because obviously Slaughter To Prevail, had they only gone to a record label a few years down the road, obviously they would have been in a different situation and had way more leverage in terms of what kind of deal they'd be offered. But we signed everything right away, and right now we are on pretty bad terms with Sumerian Records. Most likely we will sue them in order to terminate the contract and be able to move on our own. And by no means am I saying that they are bad, so-and-so. They gave us a huge head start, but it is us who made a wrong move building a relationship like this. We didn't give a shit then, and now we seem to have grown a little wiser and kind of woke up. You know, the issue is pending right now. Alex also mentioned that more lucrative offers have come in over the years, but that the band are leaning towards an independent route for their future, should they be able to do so. Well, obviously, with time and as their fame rises, they're going to have other labels come in trying to pick them up and obviously have better offers than when they were off of their debut album. So that's to be expected. Alex should already have a considerable head start when it comes to promotion of such a venture, having already amassed nearly 822,000 subscribers on his own YouTube channel. So there's that, but I don't think people realize as well how much Slaughter To Prevail are good with marketing their stuff. And Jack in the band has got a merch company as well, and they do a lot of cool stuff in terms of what they're selling and the merchandising and promotion of those items as well. So they know a lot. They have a good ear in terms of what could be hype. You know, like they leaned into things in terms of the band, like the masks and the over the top Russian stuff. And it's not just because they're Russian. It's also because they know that that's gonna work for them, right? Not everyone would be able to pull it off, and not everyone would be game to pull it off, but they're wise enough to know what to tap into, and it's been working great for them. So this is kind of weird. I guess it's them saying they signed a shitty contract back in 2015, and now 6 years later they are just about the biggest thing in deathcore and don't feel like they're getting what's deserved because they're still on that shitty contract. So it's like suing them to get out of the contract is how he's putting this. I don't know if you'd need like you'd legally have to have a reason to sue, right? So unless, like I said, I started all of this by saying that I clearly have seen less promotion go into this latest record on Sumerian Records' part compared to the one before that. So maybe there's some grounds to kind of fight for the fact that Sumerian hasn't been paying enough attention to them. But usually how these contracts are made up, it's kind of like whatever they did for that first record in terms of marketing probably wasn't a requirement in the contract. Sumerian probably did way more than they had to, knowing it would bring in money. Obviously, it was a financially a good move for them for Slaughter To Prevail to work. And they probably just did the minimum that the contract obliged them to do for this one. Maybe they were just like, hey, like this is already working so fucking well. We don't really need to do anything else. We're already like super fine with the numbers and all that, and probably maybe even doing better than the expected. So fuck it, we're not going to put more money into it because we know we're making our money back anyways. I don't know if that's the move. I don't know. These kind of things are complicated. I'm really curious what the details of this. I mean, we're probably never going to know, but I'd be curious to know what the details to this are going to be, and like what they're actually going to sue them about. Like, what are they going to sue them for? Because like, you can't sue a record label for not giving you what you think you deserve when you signed a bad contract. Like that's on them. That's on Slaughter. So I'm curious. The thing that I could see happening is if their contract is really like to such a point a terrible contract that there's not much like worth in it, maybe they could try and buy their way out of the record contract. Usually it's not a band that'll buy out, but another label will buy them out. And this thing, they're speaking on the fact that they probably want to go independent. I think Slaughter To Prevail is realizing that they're the ones doing most of the promotion and most of the hype is coming from them and not the label. They're probably adding up album sales times how much these albums are selling for and what the merch looks like, and they're probably saying, fuck, we'd all be millionaires right now if it wasn't for the label. I think that's what's going on. That's kind of it, man. It's kind of a big incoherent rambling, but that's the whole thing going on with this Slaughter To Prevail.